So, what's a misconception about brain health that can hurt people versus help people?
Not realizing that the brain plays an intricate part in every decision of your life. Um, the biggest misconception that I would say in my life is that I didn't realize how important the brain was.
Mhm.
Right? I didn't realize that if I was in, a successive of, let's say, three bad relationships, that it was my brain that got me into those three bad relationships. If I was, was having more month than I had money every month, that was my brain playing a part in me overspending. It was my brain playing a part in me having, arguments with my family
Right.
or my friends or my loved ones. It was my brain playing a part in everything that I was complaining about, right? If I woke up complaining about, oh, I hate my job, or oh, I hate my career, or oh, I hate what
Right.
I'm doing, that was my brain, right? And so the misconception I think that many of us have is that we don't understand just how important the brain is and just how intricately connected the brain is to everything that we do, right? And
Right.
so when you look around in life and you look around at other people and you're like, why do they get this and why do they have that? And okay, then that means that there's something about your brain,
Right.
right, that's not connecting with what it is that you want.
Hmm.
Because the
Hmm.
moment your brain connects to your wants, it's no longer going to be a want anymore because your
Right.
brain is going to start helping you make decisions to make that want manifest in your life,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think that we don't. The misconception is that on one hand we know it's important because if you have an accident and somebody have a big brain injury or cut in the head or
Right.
something like that, we like, oh, that's serious. But you can have brain injury, Tiffany, from a car accident. You can have brain injury from, falling off a ladder,
Right.
from hitting your head on the wall, from tripping
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
falling, right? You can have a brain injury. And when
From
I was,
sports, right? Even from playing sports. From
oh,
playing
you can
sports. You
definitely
know.
have a brain injury from playing sports. Um, One of the things for me was when my daughter was first born, we were in a car accident
Hmm.
and I got thrown out of the car the truck that I was in flipped over,
Oh
and
my
I had
God.
literally just taken my daughter out of her car seat to breastfeed because I was breastfeeding her at the time. And right when I had taken her out, put her on my breast and was breastfeeding her, someone had swerved. We were in a truck. The truck flipped over. I wasn't in a car seat because I had literally just taken her out of her car seat and I hadn't put the car
Okay.
seat back on. And I got thrown out of the back window.
Oh my gosh.
And literally, I don't know if I bust through the window, if the window had already bust, but I got thrown out of the back window, landed on like this open clearing. My daughter was laid out um, on a blanket. It was literally as if somebody had laid the blanket and laid her there. And then I was
Wow.
laying next to her. I could not move, but I
Hmm.
could look a little bit and see that she was fine, but I couldn't move. And but because my head wasn't bleeding or whatever. Now they did, I think they did do a CT scan of my brain, but it was didn't show anything structurally wrong.
Hmm.
But the only thing was broken was my shoulder bone, and so they focus all of the attention, on the shoulder
Yeah.
bone, never
Right.
really focusing on the fact that hey, I had trauma that occurred to my brain,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But because of the way Dr. Daniel Amen like to say it is that you had a lot of brain reserve. The reason why you're functioning and you still what some people would consider a high functioning person is because you came to that accident with high brain reserve, with a lot of brain reserve. So your brain, your neurotransmitters were able to reconnect and make new connections, and engage in what we call neuroplasticity, uh,
Hmm.
so that what would have probably shut somebody else down didn't
Yeah.
shut you down. If I was to show you, and one of these days I plan on doing a reel, I just got to crunch it into 1 minute or at least 1 minute reels. But I have a brain scan of my own brain to my share. Anytime you see a reel of mine and you see a brain scan, it's my brain. But
Oh,
one of my brain scans, when you see it, it literally looks like I have a hole in my head, right? Now, literally, I don't have a hole in my head because, of course, the brain itself is the consistency of butter. But what it does show is that I have very little blood flow to certain area of my brain, and my doctors think that it's connected to that accident, that major accident that occurred a long, long time ago. And so you can have brain and it can in the consequences of something like experiencing something like that is you can have an accident. And then all of a sudden, within a year, 2 years, somebody's emotional show up changes, right? And nobody ever really makes the connection that it could be related to that trauma, right? To that head injury or something like that. And so, but yeah.
That is so interesting. Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that you guys are okay. But all I gotta say, that was nothing but God putting that blanket down and just laying her down, right? Like, oh my gosh, you just gave me the chills.
Just laid out. Just laid out.
Oh,